This is the future.
The title says it all. These are those Warframes that I consider to be complete without the help of the Helminth system. Take note that all the Warframes you will see here are based on my preference and experience playing every known frame in the game. These Warframes are powerful enough on their own. More specifically, they have strong abilities that allow them to perform well in missions without the need of the Helminth system or other setup just to band-aid some weak points on their game. So, without further ado, let's reveal the first few Warframes, and probably the most obvious ones, starting with Octavia. Infinite damage scaling and infinite invisibility. What more can you ask for in a Warframe? Octavia almost has it all, plus the coolness of allowing players to form their music of mayhem. She is very versatile in star chart missions. If you need to play stealth in a spy mission, then you can just use her metronome and teabag to the extraction. If you are playing defense, then just drop her dum-dum ball and you will aggro all enemies in the area. If you want damage, then drop the mallet and let bodies drop dead on the floor. If you want damage buff, then she got her fourth ability to buff weapons. Octavia is truly a complete Warframe and doesn't need anything other than energy to sustain her invisibility and cast her other abilities. It's sad that sometimes players have wrong impressions about her and don't use her because others would say that her gameplay is boring. The truth is, Octavia makes everything almost as easy as pie that players get bored in doing the same stuff over and over again. But before we start, I would like to share the sponsor of this video, Ace Defender, a high-quality strategic RPG, combining authentic, turn-based RPG battle with tower defense elements. The game has a traditional RPG storyline solo player with 40+ chapters of nearly 2,000 levels. The story revolves around the rebellion of the Dragon Clan that threatens the balance of good and evil in the world. Our heroine, Alipida the Silver Dragon Princess, escaped with the Creation Crystal to the human lands. There, she awoke the Creation Crystal and summoned heroes to fight evil, with your help. There are 5 hero factions in the game: Divine, Demon, Shadow, Nature, Light, with deep hero background stories. Starting with 48 heroes, there are 2 new heroes released every 2 weeks that you can level up, combine and equip gear to create a powerful lineup. What I like about this game is you can speed up the action for free. There's a 1 time, 2 times, and even 4 times gameplay mode to speed up or slow down the action. It also features a solo mode wherein you get to chill and face the challenges at your own pace. You explore PvE dungeons and regions, engage in trials, level up your heroes, and collect rare items, and you can also fight against other players within your server, arena, or across servers, King's Arena, with multiple lineups. To help support the channel, simply use the link I placed in the video description or at the pinned comment. When you do this, you will also get 10 Royal Recruit tickets after completing levels 2 to 8 and receive rare heroes that you can use to progress faster in the game. Thank you all for your support, and now, let's get back to the video. The next Warframe is another obvious choice, and that is Nidus. The Prince of Infested may have the versatility that Octavia has, but his insane survivability allows him to be included in this list. His passive allows him to be invulnerable for 5 seconds as long as you got enough mutation stack, and mind you, getting mutation stacks is super easy because of how good Nidus' abilities are. They are built to group enemies and maintain that mutation stack so Nidus can go immortal for the rest of the mission. This frame is even better when Digital Extremes added a few augments for his abilities. The best augment right now for Nidus, in my opinion, is the Teeming Virulence augment, which increases the critical chance of primary weapons. This makes Nidus super good in terms of damage since some primary weapons can be boosted to red crit, and with lava, you can easily group and nuke enemies in seconds. The word Undying should always be linked to Nidus, and no one can argue about how tough this infested Warframe is. But like Octavia, many don't play this frame since Nidus only shines in level cap enemies. Most of the missions in Warframe are focused on farming, and you need Warframes that can farm stuff at the fastest time possible. Octavia and Nidus are one of those frames that are great at endgame level missions if there is a true endgame in Warframe. By the way, if you want to check out some awesome combos and other builds regarding the frames I have mentioned in this video, then go check out the link at the pinned comment. Okay, now let's continue with the third one, and it's the monk frame Baroque. Many players did not like the initial release of this Warframe. The concept of Baroque is loc, being passive, but no one wants passive gameplay in Warframe, as it is all about killing everything at the fastest time possible, and not just absorbing damage and waiting for the right time to attack. You can say that this Warframe is a walking damage reduction. He got damage reduction on his second, third and fourth abilities. Not to mention that he can also make bullets pass his body while not attacking when using his first ability. Despite the insane survivability, Baroque was never seen by many as a top Warframe since he can't do that much damage. All he did was absorb everything and be a pseudo-tank Warframe. Well, not until he got his reactive storm augment, which not only boosts the status chance of his fourth ability, but also allows every hit to apply the element weakness for a specific enemy. Baroque become insanely good as he got all that is needed in a one single add-on. The reactive storm augment completed the Warframe and is now sitting at the top of the food chain. He is one of those Warframes that you can trust at surviving tough levels and as well as killing enemies faster than most of the other Warframes out there. The only thing that's keeping Baroque from being number one is his rage meter. Not all the time you can use Baroque to his full potential, but once you pass the normal star chart levels, you will love this Warframe, especially at steel path levels wherein you deal with a bunch of high level enemies always. Next Warframe is Fast Boy Gauss. Many dubbed this Warframe as the Volt Killer, since he is well known of his speed, but many don't realize how well built Gauss is. This is one of those Warframes where you will say, what the hell would I replace when I want to have a Helminth built on this Warframe? His abilities combos well with each other that when used together, creates not just defense, but also offense to this Warframe. His Macrush is the main source of everything. As you run around in the map, you build up your redline meter, which then provides a buff to your abilities. The higher you build up your redline meter, the more damage mitigation you get from kinetic plating, to the point wherein you deny some damages with a 100% success rate. His thermal sunder also gives both crowd control and damage over time to enemies. The cold status proc allows Gauss to slow enemies while on the move, while he can also apply heat and damage over time when using the heat element of thermal sunder. Then, you can combine them to do blast damage and knock down targets. You can certainly say that speed kills with this Warframe. The next Warframe is Nidus. This Warframe was dubbed as a Rhino copycat in the past, but the rework made this Warframe super strong and versatile. I know many missed the iron skin-like ability of Nidus' ward in Halo, but his overall kit right now is amazing compared to his past abilities in my opinion. The Firewalk is still there, and it's his source of crowd control and speed. But what I really love about the rework is the change in his second and third abilities. Digital Extremes made his second ability, not just a traveling mean, but also a source of debuff to increase the overall damage of his ability. I know some of you don't like what they did with warding Halo, but I love how the way it works right now, since I can accompany it with the Rage or Hunter Adrenaline mod. This way, I can regain energy while warding Halo is active, and I can recast and spam his other abilities without a problem. Nidus, in my opinion, transcended to godlike status after rework, but I must admit, it takes some setup to truly achieve that immortality if you want to go against level cap enemies in this game. Moving on, we got Titania. This Warframe also received several tweaks before it finally became one of the best Warframes in my opinion. Although there are still things to improve, like her melee exalted weapon. Without it, still, Titania can dismantle enemies in seconds with her Dex Pixia. There's no denying that Titania can melt enemies in seconds in the past, but right now, this Warframe's DPS is in a whole new level, especially with the addition of galvanized mods. In terms of survivability, Titania has some dodge mechanic, coupled with damage reduction on her ability, and can be increased with the help of airborne damage reduction mods. And also, she got one of the best crowd control in the game in the form of Lantern. This is like Octavia's Resonator, wherein enemies will have zero aggression to defense objectives, allies, and yourself, except for specialized units. The only difference is, you apply it to an enemy and make it an irresistible lantern to draw flies to kill. Also, I always forget to mention this, but this Warframe also has status immunity when you decide to press and hold her spellbind ability. Next on the hit list is Valkyrie. Now, I was hesitant to include Valkyrie on this list, but it would be a crime not to, since she got what I call the cheat button, wherein she can instantly activate immortality at the expense of energy. Not to mention that Valkyrie's claws are very nasty when modded for red crits and damage. She also got insane armor, which is the highest when you have Valkyrie Prime, enough to give you above 90% damage reduction on health, which allows you to switch from Hysteria to normal mode by just switching to gun. This way, you can maintain immortality and red crit claws with Hysteria, by simply just aiming and switching to your gun. If you have Rage or Hunter Adrenaline, then you would restore enough energy before switching back to Hysteria. It's an endless loop of getting energy and getting health back with Hysteria, and honestly, Valkyrie is very reliable in terms of killing enemies even at Steel Path levels. She is also insane against some bosses in the game. Next, we got Warframes Zephyr. The final 2 rework of Zephyr was the best rework ever for this Warframe. Digital Extremes managed to pull off something good for this Warframe and turn her into a Warframe meant for Steel Path levels or even damage cap. Zephyr now has a passive which allows her to gain critical chance while on the air, and this is easily done by just gliding, or activating her Tailwind ability and floating in the air while you have energy. It even gets better since Tailwind combos well with her Turbulence that gives her immunity against bullets. The only problem with this ability in the past is it's very annoying against melee enemies, but now, since you can float, this ability gains total immunity to all damage for as long as it's active and you have energy. Also, her air burst is now great in terms of grouping enemies, not to mention that her tornadoes can vacuum enemies and kill them with any gas builds. Tornado is also a great way to one-shot acolytes right now and any other Steel Path enemies, but you can go further if you want to with a regular Zephyr build. The next Warframe is Ivara. Ivara is one of those versatile Warframes. She got invisibility, which is one of the best survivability in the game. She also got great crowd control and utility with her arrows. You can attract enemies with Noise Arrow, put enemies to sleep, hide with your invisible bubble, and become unreachable with your wire arrows. It even gets better if you have the Quiver Augment that gives status immunity to your invisible bubble and critical damage to your dash wire arrow. The best part is, her invisibility also do some other stuff like provide extra loot to enemies, and it can even be used in spy mission with the augment to easily finish the whole run without being detected. While I don't usually use the Artemis bow, but it has some good combo which we will talk in a future video. And yes, who would forget about Navigator, the ability that allows you to one-shot the limbs of Eidolons and even kill the Eidolons in one shot with the right weapons and builds. Overall, Ivara will stay as one of the best Warframes without any Helminth build for me. And the last one on this list is Ember. I know some of you miss the old Ember, but I love how this fire woman is burning right now. Digital Extremes did not just make her kit synergy with each other, but Ember is fun to play now. Unlike the old days, wherein you just sit in one corner and cast her 4th ability to burn low-level enemies, Ember now is more of a caster Warframe wherein you cast her abilities to increase the immolation and gain damage reduction, plus total armor strip, while dealing heat damage to enemies constantly. Hell, you can just even spam her abilities to kill high-level enemies. Cast Fire Blast first, then her first ability if you are planning to add some heat damage on the spot or not, and just spam Inferno. Then, once you accumulate heat, cast Fire Blast to strip armor and then cast Inferno again. If you have Rage or Hunter Adrenaline, then you will regain energy most of the time that you can just spam her Fire Blast and Inferno while Immolation is active. Burning enemies is more fun when you are also burning your fingers while pressing the same keys over and over again. I'm just kidding. Overall, Ember is great right now and one of those Warframes also that you will have a hard time replacing her abilities because you don't need to replace them at all. Cough. Her first ability, Cough. So these are my favorite Warframes, and those I consider to be extremely great without the need of the Helminth system. Now, let me know what Warframes do you consider are the best without even the help of the Helminth system. Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.
This is the future.